after me. Yalini, Yalin, Yalini, Yalin, Yalini, Yalin, Yalini, Yalin, 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 Yalini, Yalin, 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 And if you can't get that long phrase all in one go, don't worry about the details. Really try to capture the whole energy of the phrase, and repeat it multiple times over and over again. Go back in the video, repeat it whole rather than stopping yourself in the middle. Because if you do that, you're going to start to build a muscle memory of stopping in the middle of phrases. And you want to get the rhythmic feel of a phrase as it goes all the way through. So before I go on, I really need to thank the subscribers and Patreon supporters especially. So please hit like and subscribe below. I've been posting these videos and I'm going to continue posting hopefully between 50 and 100 videos in this series. So if you subscribe, you'll get to see all of them when they come out. And for those of you who can afford to support me on Patreon, you're helping me to make these videos free and available for everybody around the world on YouTube. So I really appreciate everyone who's been supporting me so far. You guys are totally awesome. And if you can afford to do so for a cheap monthly rate of $6 or $10, follow the link below and I'll be forever grateful to you. So today we're doing Jinspayati, and Jinspayati is one of the most important ajnas in Arabic music. It is part of regional traditions, not only from Egypt up into Syria, but through Turkey, Iran, Central Asia. It's really, really popular as a folk melody as well as a classical jins, as a maqam within the maqam system. And it's also very common in religious chant, from the recitation of the Quran to other forms of religious music in the region. So Bayati is really absolutely everywhere. And I opened with a short medley of very popular Palestinian songs in Bayati. Ala Dalauna, Tahti Hodajha, and El Ain Mulayatain. There's a Turkish version of that last one, actually. I'm going to play you a couple more medleys a little bit later on. But we started singing the basic phrases in the jins. And the jins, just to remind you, if you haven't watched the other videos, to tell you for the first time, is the section of the scale that melodies focus on. Melodies in maqam don't use a full scale all at once. They stay in one little area, and the area of Jins Bayati is this area. Can you hear the note we call a tonic? The tonic is the note that melodies resolve to. And let me just illustrate again. You hear how that's unstable and unresolved? It wants to resolve to that note. So that's the tonic of this Jinspayati, this note. For those of you using instruments, that happens to be a D right now, but Bayati can be on any key. You hear how that note wants to resolve up. So we're going to call that note 1. just as if we were saying do, re, mi, in the solfege system, we can say 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when we were doing these melodies, and I want you to notice because we're going to go back to singing melodies, this 4 is a very important note in melodies. In the medley I played, Ala de la Una goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. تحتي هودجها تحتي هودجها 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4. So this note is super important, and within melodies in this jins, and we call it the ghammaz. It's a note of melodic emphasis. It's also a place where you can modulate. We're not going to get into that in this video. That will be for when we deal with the maqams. But the ghammaz is very important. You can hear it in melodies. So if I play like this. So I want you to hear these 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. When we get to 5, 5 is unstable and wants to resolve down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 7. That's the note underneath the tonic. We call it 7 because the tonic 1 is the same as 8 in music. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. So one of the important things that we want to do when we want to get to know a jins, and you want to get to know this Jinspayati because you're going to see it in all of these different contexts. You want to get to know it and you want to be familiar with the feeling associated with each scale degree. And we talked about the feeling with the tonic. That's the resolution. Now, it may feel different than the resolution of a different scale, but it has a feeling of being settled. You end the piece there, whereas the second scale degree is extremely tense. You hear that resolution. And 3 has a different feeling. 3, 2, 1. And 4 has a different feeling. That's 4. And 5 has a different feeling. 5. And a lot of melodies start on 5. So we saw Ilain Mulayatain. It has a little mini resolution from 5, 1, 5, 4, 5, resolving to 4, before resolving 3, 2, 1. So I'm going to do some more melodies with you, and we do this call and response with melodies because learning the basic melodies of the jins is the most important basic way to get to know the jins. This vocabulary, this is actually vocabulary, these little melodic phrases are things that I have in my ear, in my memory, and things that experienced musicians have in their ears. They're like the words of the language. And we build longer melodies by combining these words, not by following rules from note to note. So if you want to know Arabic music, you actually have to learn all of these little melodies, just like if you were learning a new spoken language. You would have to learn each word. You'd have to learn what the word means. Here we don't worry about what it means, but you have to have a knowledge of these melodies. So the purpose of all of these lessons here is to give you that basic knowledge. So let's go, and I'll occasionally name the number, the scale degree. Is that what we call? This is 1 and this is 4. This is always going to be 4, as long as it's relative to 1. 1 can change, of course. But for the purposes of this lesson, we're not going to call this note other than 4. It's just like do, re, mi, fa, the 4th note. So repeat after me. Yalini, yalin, yalini, yalin, yalil, 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 yalil. And you notice I kind of kept us in this area focusing on 3. Now we're going to go up. Ya lili, ya lil, ya lili, ya lil. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ya lil, ya lil, ya lil, ya lil, ya lil, ya lil, ya lili, ya ini, ya lil, ya lili, ya ini, ya lil, ya lil, ya lil. Going up to 5. Ya lini, ya lini, ya lil. Ya lini, ya lini, ya lin. Ya lin, 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 ya lin. 5, 5, 5, 4, 5, 4. Ya lini, ya lin, ya lini, ya lin, ya lini, ya lin, ya lini, ya lin, ya lil, ya lil, ya lil, ya lil, ya lil, ya lil, ya lin, ya lil. Now, some of you might have noticed that I went up past the basic area of the jins. I went past this 1, 2, 3, 4, which is how traditional theory defines Jins Bayati. We used the 5, which resolves down to 4, but I also tasted 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, there is some ambiguity here. Is this 6 actually part of Jins Bayati, or is it in another jins? That's something we'll explore more when we look at Maqam Lesson, but I just want to draw your attention to it. For now, you can hear this as part of the jins. Right, we're in one melodic area. We have one melodic feeling. That's the definition of a jins. That feeling, the association of those melodies. So we can include 6 within this Jins Bayati, even if the traditional theory only says 1, 2, 3, 4. We have... Let's do some scale exercises. This is another way to get to know the jins. And this is a way to build muscle memory for intervals. Intervals are the distance between two notes. And if you're a Western musician, you might notice that the distance between 1 and 2 doesn't exist in Western music. This interval is larger than a semitone, the distance between two keys on the piano, and smaller than a whole step. Sometimes people call it a 3/4 step or a quarter tone, but it's not exactly a quarter of anything. And if you watch the Jins video, it has the note that has the same name, but the intonation is sometimes different. So don't worry about all that confusion about, oh, it's bigger than this, it's smaller than that. Don't think about that at all. That's why this is the first time I'm talking about this in this video, 17 minutes in. Feel what it feels like. Hear what it sounds like. Learn the melodies associated with it. And don't worry about exactly how it's tuned, at least not yet. And if you're a theorist and you're annoyed at me for saying that, well, then see what you can learn by ignoring your mind and paying attention to your ears. So let's do these exercises. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. And if you're a vocalist, you want to use different vowel sounds so that you train your muscle memory to feel the size of the interval regardless of the interval, regardless of the vowel. So you might say E, ooh, ah, Let's do the next one. 2, 3, 2. E. Let's do the next one. 3, 4, 3. Ah. Ooh. Oh. And if you're an instrumentalist, I have a couple pieces of advice for you. One is, practice different muscle activations. So do it in different positions. Sorry, I'm screwing that up. So I'm just practicing in different keys, and you can practice along to my better version in different keys. And the other thing that you really need to do if you're an instrumentalist is you need to put down your instrument. Put it down and do this video without your instrument several times before doing it with the instrument. Maybe you've already been playing along, and that's fine. But you're going to find that you'll learn so much more if you force yourself to use your voice, even if you don't consider yourself a singer. And if you're a singer, you might want to pick up an instrument and start learning it. But don't use the piano, please. Oh my God. Anyway. So those are those intervals. And just to go a little bit past the 4, because I was talking about it before. 5, 4, 5, 4. 4, 5, 4. 5, 6, 5. And that is sometimes a very small interval. So those are a couple different ways to approach getting to know this Jins. So I mentioned earlier that there's so much regional usage of Bayati that I wanted to play for you a couple more regional variants. So I have a medley of Egyptian tunes I'm going to play for you now in Bayati, and then we'll do a little bit more singing back and forth, and then I'll end with some Syrian and Lebanese tunes. There's so many fantastic Bayati tunes, and I just chose some of my favorite tunes, not whole songs, And I'll name them as I go this time with the Egyptian ones. And sometimes it's fragments of songs that aren't in Maqam Bayati but are using the Jins. These are some of my favorite melodies from Egypt in Jins Bayati. Starting with Gan al Hawa. Notice the Ghamaz 4. From بحبك صدقني. لوكسور بلدنا. What is it? It's ليلة حب. ليالي لبنان. القلب يعشق. بعيد عنك. Repeat after me. The words are Nisit in Nom. I forgot sleep. Nisit النوم نسيت النوم 4 3 2 4 3 2 نسيت النوم نسيت النوم وأحلام نسيت نسيت النوم نسيت النوم نسيت النوم نسيت النوم نسيت النوم And of course you want to listen to Kulthum and copy all of her phrases. She has a couple different recordings with different versions of that little improvisation in Bayati that happens at the beginning of Baid Annek. Couple more notes before we go. I'll be recording Bayati in different keys and putting those videos up for the Patreon supporters. So if you want to support me on Patreon, you're also gonna get some bonus videos. So instead of Bayati on D, we'll do Bayati on G. One, two, three, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's going to be very important. We'll do Bayati on A too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. So check out the link below to Patreon if you want to practice in different keys. Even if you don't do that, you could take this, and the key is you're going to hear Bayati in different keys if you listen to a lot of songs. And I've had some people ask on the videos to share the links for all the songs. And I'll try, but I just gave you a whole bunch of songs, and you may not know how to spell them, but I encourage you to just go and listen. Go and listen to Kulthum, go and listen to Abdul Wahab, go and listen to Wadi Safi, go and listen to Muhammad Khairi, Sabah Fakhri, Nur al-Huda. I mean, I'm just naming all these people. Go start searching and follow links in YouTube. The more you listen, the more these melodies are going to become familiar. You don't have to hear the same exact tunes that I'm giving you, but the more you listen, the more all this is going to make sense. It's really about repeated listening, hearing it, absorbing it into your ears. It's not about some set of rules that I can give you or about defining the size of intervals. This is about melodic vocabulary that people know, and it's encoded in the songs of the region. So I'm going to do one more little medley for you from Lebanon and Syria. Lemuni, Ibadli Gawab, one of my favorites from Wadi Safi, Allah Ma'ak, and a little bit of the Mijana at the end. That's how we'll end the lesson. I hope you check out those videos. If you want to learn more about the Jins, you can check out the Jins Bayati page on Maqam World. I'm going to put the link for that below. If this video, you want a little bit more explanation, and if this is your first time watching one of the videos, I encourage you to go back to lesson 1 on Jins Rust. We spelled out a lot of the explanations in that video. Go through all of them. We're going to go through about 15 or 16 videos of the Ejnas and eventually combine them into about 30 different maqamat. So the Ejnas are the building blocks that you want to know. So Maqam World, which I mentioned, has a page on Jinspayati. Also has other songs that you can listen to fragments in Jinspayati. So definitely check those out and surf YouTube as much as you can for that. So here's a little medley of Syrian and Lebanese songs in Bayati. There's something about this particular Jins that just brings forth a lot of melody from this region. It's just, and all the melodies are the same, you know. We heard that in 3 of the songs from Egypt, and then in the other 3 songs we heard that, right? So those basic melodies that you're hearing in the songs, etc., are all over the place. So, from Syria and Lebanon. Thank you so much for watching.